Hello and welcome to South Carolina Farm Bureau's installment of Farm Bureau Voices of Agriculture. I'm your host, Reggie Hall. You know, in the South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation, as with farm bureaus across the country, it's members at the grassroots level that make us the organization we are, that gives us our voice and our strength as an agricultural organization promoting the work and the benefit of family farmers and ranchers across the country. Today we want to introduce you to one of South Carolina Farm Bureau's more influential members. Please meet Mr. Othniel Wienges. Othniel H. Wienges, Jr. of St. Matthews was born the son of a farmer on December 27, 1924. He's followed in his namesake's footsteps. He and his dad were both named after a victorious judge in the Bible who brought peace to Israel after a long period of unrest. Othniel has been victorious in agribusiness and in other aspects of his life. His family settled the Calhoun County farm known as the Singleton Plantation more than 100 years ago. And while he has been successful in many pursuits in life, Othniel has a humble sense of pride about being known as a farmer.
Well, I think farmers tend to keep their head screwed on right and not get excited. Don't get too excited or too disappointed. And the farming makes you realize how dependent you are on the good Lord.
The list of Othniel's civic involvement, leadership, and accomplishments reads like a who's who encyclopedia. He's received the state's highest civilian honor, the Order of the Palmetto. He's been named Man of the Year by several organizations. He was recently named Distinguished Alumnus of his alma mater, the same school that has honored him with a doctorate degree. He spent a decade as a public servant in the South Carolina House of Representatives. And that's just to name a few of the positions he's held. The Singleton Plantation is still an active farm, run by Othniel and his son John, who tends to the row crops while his dad tends to the horse business. Together they produce cotton, coastal Bermuda, and peanuts, which now takes the place of the soybeans they used to grow. And of course, horses. Quality thoroughbred horses raised for racing and for winning.
When you have a horse and a man putting their talents together, the communication between the two can be very difficult. You run a race and you want a horse to not have anything left. You want to use up what wind and energy you have, you know. But on the other hand, if you use it too soon, you give out and the horse falls. So it's very difficult. And this horse, Double Chance, he thought if he ever got his head in front, that's all he was supposed to do. So you had to wait until the very last minute to ask him to run and get ahead. And sometimes you would wait too long, you know. He couldn't quite get there. And but anyway, he was a conundrum. We had everybody loved him, and he raced for 4 or 5 years.
Over his lifetime, Othniel Wienges has bred more than 300 horses that have won more than 2,700 races and placed or showed in more than 5,200 more, racking up a total winnings of more than $17 million.
But we've had over the years. We hadn't done as well racing as we hoped to do, but we've done a whole lot better than we ever expected to do. And we've had some very nice horses.
The quality of the Wienges horses and their winning record combined to earn him numerous top national honors from the Thoroughbred Owners Breeders Association. Othniel pursued other interests briefly, interests like earning a degree in English from the University of South Carolina in 1947. Where he also served in the Naval ROTC program. It's said that Othniel once turned down a job offer after college that would have had him writing for a New York newspaper, but that would have kept him from his love of the land, his love of horses, and kept him from pursuing his bride. Othniel is a decorated Navy veteran. He served as commander of a ship in World War II, which caused him to see a lot of action in the Pacific Theater. It was a leadership position which taught him a true sense of accomplishment and service.
Being in command of a United States ship during the war gave me a feeling that I never had before. I don't think I could have again. It gives you a feeling of accomplishment.
Othniel used those leadership skills as he led the charge to secure funds for building a grain export facility on South Carolina's coast. In 1962, he and a handful of other farmers, each members of the Farm Bureau's Small Grains and Soybean Committee, raised $100,000 in less than 30 days, and an additional $150,000 soon afterwards from their peers as operating capital for the Marketing Association to take over the Charleston grain elevator from the state. Othniel Wienges never missed an opportunity to educate others on the needs of South Carolina farmers. He also never missed an opportunity to help educate others in a broader sense. He co-sponsored legislation creating Orangeburg-Calhoun Technical College, and he's the most tenured member of the University of South Carolina Board of Trustees, with 30 years of continuous service. It's a position that has placed him in the company of people like the Pope and a host of other world and national leaders and celebrities. Othniel Wienges has been able to help others because of horsepower. He's harnessed it over the years. He has an eye for quality, an eye that has long been trained on the Farm Bureau organization as a place for making things happen for South Carolina farmers.
Well, I shudder to think of life on the farm without Farm Bureau. We always got that protective screen out there. Somebody, horses in the wild, the good Lord made them to graze on the grassland. And they do, and if you notice them, you go down in the pasture now, and look, they won't scatter out. They'll be in a little bunch eating there. Well, I feel like that, those horses. I feel like Farm Bureau's looking out on every side all the time. And when we do something, we do it together.
The horsepower behind Farm Bureau are our members, more than 6 million across the country. And here in South Carolina, they provide an important voice to family farmers and ranchers and rural lifestyles. Today we're at beautiful Hendricks Farms in the heart of South Carolina, a premier equestrian facility geared toward the recreational equestrian, boarding horses and offering lessons and competing in horse shows across South Carolina. Speaking of horsepower, let's take a look back to the early 1900s to find out more about horsepower used on the farm way back then. There's a house or barn to be built. That means it's time to go into the woods and find a tree to cut using an axe or cross-cut saw, and a lot of manpower. Once the tree is felled, it can be used either as a log or moved to a sawmill or shingle mill to be cut into lumber or other products. The first log home construction only required that the bark be removed from the logs before they were used for building. Mules or horses are used to transport the large trees from the forest to either the sawmill or shingle mill. At the sawmill, the tree will be cut into lumber. At the shingle mill, we'll make wooden shingles for the roof. The sawmill consists of a power unit, a large circular saw, and a carriage which operates on a track to move the log into the saw. The first part of the log removed is called a slab. Its removal begins the process of changing a round log into a square or rectangle for lumber. Each time a slab is removed, the log must be turned and secured to the carriage. The log is then aligned with the saw by using a ratchet to move the log the proper distance towards the saw. A cable powers the carriage that moves the log. As the slabs are removed, they're taken away to be used for firewood or left to decay. Once the log is squared, the saw operator begins to cut boards or timbers from the log into the desired sizes. During the sawing process, a lot of sawdust is produced, which is carried away by a chain under the saw into a pile. It may be used later for bedding or mulch. Some sawmills are powered by steam engines that use the wood slabs as a source of fuel to keep the fire burning. That heats the water and turns it into steam. Gasoline and diesel engines followed the steam engine. Some of our diesel engines are huge. like the one-cylinder 1925 Fairbanks Morse diesel engine, as powerful as about 50 horses. The diesel engine can reach full power much faster than the steam engine. A gasoline gun or blowtorch is used to start the diesel engine by heating the glow plug in the fuel intake. It takes about 10 minutes to get the glow plug and fuel intake hot enough for the engine to start. Once the engine becomes hot enough, the heat of compression causes it to run and power the sawmill. Diesel engines are also used to power cotton gins around South Carolina. Planers smooth rough-cut boards and make them uniform in thickness. Planers are set manually and depend a great deal on the skill of the operator. The shavings produced by the planer are often used as bedding for livestock, like chickens or hogs. Just like the sawmill, the planer is powered by a steam, diesel, or gasoline engine. Some are powered by tractors, like this 1935 John Deere with a gasoline engine. Wooden shingles are used to roof homes and other buildings. Durable cypress or cedar trees yield choice, long-lasting wood for shingles. Hand tools are used to split blocks of wood into shingles unless a person has access to an engine-powered shingle mill, which can greatly increase production. A 1910s shingle mill powered by a gasoline engine squares the log or block like the sawmill, and then it cuts one shingle at a time. The operator must change the position of the block with each pass so that the shingle will be cut thinner on one end than the other. This tapering effect makes roofing easier.
There's nothing fresher, nothing finer than locally grown fruits and vegetables. They're tastier, sweeter, healthier, and most of us would agree they're better. That's why your South Carolina Department of Agriculture is working to make certified South Carolina-grown produce and products available in stores in your neighborhood. As for South Carolina, nothing's fresher, nothing's finer.
Back with more now with Farm Bureau's Voices of Agriculture. And you know what? One of the voices I love to hear most comes from the kitchen. We're with Donna Bundrick Griffin with W.P. Rawl and Sons Incorporated Farms in Lexington County, South Carolina, right in the heart of the state of South Carolina. One of the largest producers I know in the state of fresh vegetable products, and a good-sized producer in the southeast and along the eastern seaboard.
Reggie, it's so great to have this opportunity to work with you. And yes, we are a leading farm operation in South Carolina. We're actually a grower, processor, and shipper of a variety of fresh vegetables. Everything from greens to bell peppers to cilantro, parsley, beets, bulk beets in the grocery store. We're actually in grocery stores east of the Mississippi, all up and down the eastern seaboard. Right. If you don't find us in your grocery store, ask for us. We have a line of product in addition to our valiant, convenient. I'm glad you said that.
What do we have today?
Now, we are doing a collard dip.
Oh, yeah.
It is so good, folks. For this dip, we are using one of the 1.4-ounce containers of the vegetable mixture. It's a dry mixture that you add to vegetables. Okay. And we're going to combine that with
Would you find that in the soup aisle at the grocery store?
You would find that in the soup aisle. Thank you for asking that. We're going to combine 2 cups of sour cream. Now, one thing about this recipe, Reggie, is that you can make it if you want to. It's very easily conducive to a low-fat diet because you can get the fat-free or low-fat sour cream. Sure. Now, we're also putting in, I want to get all that goodie out. People who know me know that I don't waste a thing. Okay, that's the 2 cups of sour cream. Now we're putting in 1 cup of mayonnaise. And again, making it conducive to a low-fat diet. You could use the low-fat mayo or the fat-free.
But what fun is that?
I know it. Listen here, we want to get the true flavor of this thing. We can cut down on those calories in the next meal. Okay, we're going to combine these ingredients together. Again, that's one of the 1.4-ounce containers of the vegetable mixture. Right. And then 2 cups of sour cream, and 1 cup of mayonnaise. And now we're going to put in one of our containers of versatile veggies. Now, folks, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? It's under the raw name brand called Versatile Veggies. Chopped green onions. What more?
Already chopped for you.
Already chopped for you. What more could you ask for?
How does that stay fresh on the shelves?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Reggie, simply because we have this down here. Of course, there's the barcode,
Right.
but down here in the bottom of the container is a white square piece of paper. This absorbs the moisture.
Okay.
So therefore, you know that the product will outlive the shelf life.
Right.
And you've got to play your part when you do purchase these products. You can't drive around all day in the hot sun.
Right.
Or make many stops going home. You need, any time of the year, I recommend for the consumer, when they do buy perishable products, to purchase them, take them on home, and store them correctly. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is one of our containers of, and here you can see that little piece of paper in the bottom.
Don't cook that.
No, we don't want to put that in there. Of the chopped green onion. And you know, those are so good. Those chopped green onions are so good when you're making salads. But doesn't this look good?
Well, it looks like you went out in the garden and just picked that and sliced it up just this morning.
That's right.
It's so green and fresh and healthy looking.
Reggie, we're putting the Worcestershire sauce. And we put, I would say, about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. That adds a little flavor to this wonderful dip. And now, last but certainly not least, we have cooked the collards in a little bit of water. After I cook the collards, I always like to cook the 1 pound bag of collards the day before.
Okay.
Drain them well, put them in the refrigerator overnight.
But save that pot liquor.
Save the pot liquor, that's right. And one thing about that pot liquor, I like to put it in ice cube trays so you can flavor your soups and stews with it. And then you can put it in, you know, the freezer bags and have things just to flavor. So that is a great, great thing that you brought out about the pot liquor. Okay, now, we've cooked that 1 pound bag of collards, like I say, in water, saving the pot liquor.
Just a little bit of water.
Just a little bit of water. No, we certainly don't want to do that because we're certainly depleting the greens of all those wonderful vitamins and minerals. We'll combine the collards with the mayonnaise, sour cream, Worcestershire sauce.
And you like to cook, for recipes like this for your collards, you like to cook those where they're limp and not as crisp, is that right? Right,
I do. I don't like the collards cooked al dente when it comes to recipes like this. I like to cook them until they're, like you say, limp and not very crisp, because I think really that really does not go well in a dip recipe. Reggie, you would serve this with corn chips.
Well, that looks great. Donna, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thanks to W.P. Rawl & Sons also. And make sure if you live east of the Mississippi, anywhere from Maine all the way down to Florida and over to the Mississippi, ask your grocer where the W.P. Rawl & Sons versatile veggies and the ready-mixed bagged greens are. We know you'll enjoy them.
Hi, I'm Hugh Weathers, your South Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture. Did you realize that agriculture is South Carolina's second largest industry? Our state has a long history of agriculture production and is also known for the flavor and quality of our many fruits and vegetables, from horticulture to meat, poultry, and specialty crops. Agriculture is a multi-billion-dollar industry in our state. Remember to support local agriculture when you shop. Ask for certified South Carolina. Nothing's fresher, nothing's finer.
Now with more Farm Bureau Voices of Agriculture from South Carolina, I'm your host, Reggie Hall. Keeping with the theme of animals in this installment, we turn now to beef producers. And what could be better than healthier beef for consumers or profitability for producers? Let's turn now to Clemson University and find out about their latest research for beef producers.
With proper management and improved forages, beef cattle can find something to eat in southeastern pastures 12 months out of the year. That's a real advantage for southeastern beef producers. In addition, the natural and forage-fed beef market is growing at a rate of about 20% a year. That's a real opportunity for our southeastern beef producers to capture value and retain some of the margins instead of sending cattle out to the Midwestern U.S. to be finished on corn. I'm John Andre, a Clemson forage specialist, and part of a team of researchers, is looking at ways to improve the ability to produce forage-fed beef in the southeastern U.S. This beef will be healthier for consumers and more profitable for southeastern beef producers. Cattle finished on pasture have many names: grass finished, forage finished, pasture finished, but no matter what you call it, it has certain nutritional advantages. It's leaner than grain-fed beef and contains higher amounts of desirable fatty acids and antioxidants than traditional feedlot finished beef. Clemson research has shown that beef cattle naturally produce a potent anticarcinogen, conjugated linoleic acid. Beef from cattle produced on forages contain about twice the amount of this anticarcinogen than beef produced on typical grain-based diets. The search for forage and cattle genetics has already begun across the state at Clemson's research farm. We are studying which forage crops are best suited to produce forage-fed beef and how these forages interact with meat quality. More than ever, consumers want their beef produced without antibiotics or pesticides, and they want it produced locally. We are helping farmers meet this need and hopefully turn a better profit. Can we do it? The proof will be on the plate.
Farmers owe a lot to our land-grant colleges around the country, and we especially appreciate Clemson University and their researchers in the work they're doing in the beef industry. Speaking of Farm Bureau partnerships, we appreciate our Department of Natural Resources, who've provided us with the following video and this palmetto portrait. For more information on any of the stories that we shared with you on this episode of Farm Bureau Voices of Agriculture from South Carolina, log on to our website, scfb.org. That's SouthCarolinaFarmBureau.org. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Reggie Hall.